Hello, hello. This is Amanda Kelly with this art called Life. Welcome to day 9 of my Let There Be Light series. So, as we started getting into yesterday, this isn't just about the light. This is also about the dark. It's about the light in the dark, the duality, the polarity, and how we can integrate the two so that the light becomes fuller, brighter, and more expressive, more expansive, and more full of color. So it's a beautiful process at the end of the day. Going through the dark isn't easy, and we are all facing similar situations, or the vast majority of us are right now, in that we are really grappling with darkness and with shadows and with fear and anxiety and hurt and disappointment and frustration and anger. Literally every emotion has come up for most people this year, I'm sure. And of course, there's varying degrees of this year's experience. But what I can say is that if you are willing to show up and do the work, do the shadow work, do the work of shedding is what this year has really been all about. We have been thrust into the crucible of transformation so that we can shed what's no longer serving us, what's keeping us small. It's like a snake shedding its skin. So there's this image of the cosmic serpent, the Kundalini rising. The snake first has to shed its skin so that it can grow into the next version of itself, and then it can rise up and that's how the energy goes. The energy has to be unblocked. This is the idea of the Kundalini rising. The energy has to be unblocked, and energy is emotion is energy. So this is how it's all kind of tying in, and I will ground this back down, but what today I'm going to talk about is finding the courage to face the shadows, to do the shedding, and to dive in and do that, and how to actually do that. So this is all about the brave heart. It's about tuning in and tapping in and asking yourself, okay, what is important to me? And am I willing to do this? Am I willing to move forward and do the scary thing? Am I willing to face these shadows? It does take courage, and I would say that most of us, it takes life thrusting us into it for us to actually be willing, for us to be open to doing it. But if we can choose that work before life forces us to do that work in the form of a crisis, then we are a step ahead of the game, and we're not going to have as low of lows. It's not necessarily going to be a straightforward, easy process, but we may avoid some of those downward spirals and continue on this upward spiral if we choose it. But what happens is that life often forces us into this work if we keep ignoring and suppressing what's actually underlying all of our limiting beliefs and all of our shadows, our darkness, our fears, and the traumas that are deep within our DNA. So life is calling us to step up when we do face crisis, when we do face disease. So it's the hardest work we can do. This inner work is the hardest work that we can do in our lives. So kudos to you if you're even here, willing to get this far, listening to this right now, because it means that something in you is like, okay, maybe there is something to this. So how do we find the courage to show up in the first place? Before we dive into how to do the shadow work, how do we find the courage to show up and start to examine the shadows? Well, we have to get really honest with ourselves and ask ourselves, is this what I want? This, as in the life that I'm living, the experience that I'm having, the day in, the day out, my daily grind, whatever that is for you. Is this everything there is for you? Can it get better? Is this as good as it gets? So if you feel like it's as good as it gets, okay, maybe you don't want to move forward and try this, or maybe you already have and you're in an awesome place. But if you're not feeling like you're in an awesome place, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling stagnant, if you're feeling resigned, if you're feeling like throwing in the towel and giving up and giving in, then you just have to be really, really honest with yourself and say, okay, that's what I choose. And I choose this, even though it's uncomfortable, it's what I know. That is a choice. And once we're that honest with ourselves, it's actually hard. A lot of us don't even want to face that, because we do have the capacity to change our reality. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy to step outside of the box. But if we are not happy where we are, if we are not comfortable in the little box that has been created for us, or we created for ourselves, either way, both ways. So if we're not comfortable in those boxes, then we are in a position to get clear about what our priorities are in this lifetime. Are we here to experience stuckness, stagnation, just kind of living a blah, humdrum life? Or are we here to step into our full expansion, to step into the full possibilities of what might be available for us? And then from there, we may have the courage to begin to face these shadows, to say, hey, I do think there's something more for me. I'm not okay with this reality I'm living in right now. I don't like it. Hey, thanks for tuning in. So, talking about finding the courage to face the shadows, where can you find that? Where can you get that courage from? How can you develop that brave heart to do this work? It's the hardest work in our lives. Oh, thank you. So where do we find that courage? We find that courage from getting really honest with ourselves and saying, is this all there is? Is this all there is for me? Can there be more? And if you say, hey, I do think there's something better for me, then that's where you get the courage from, because you're willing to show up and do it, because you have that spark within you and you have that belief within you that there's something better out there, that there's something better actually in there is where it really is. But there is something better for you in this life waiting for you to show up and claim it as your own. So that's where the courage comes from. It comes from within. It comes from that inner knowing that this is not all there is. There is more. There is better. If you can envision it, you can create it. If you can dream it, you can create it. So think about what you want for your life. What are your visions? What are your idealistic utopian visions for the world, however silly they may seem to you? What's one little step closer to that you can think of, that you can create for yourself? Maybe it's a little bit extra income. Maybe it's a different physical environment. Maybe it's just a new top. So can you find a way to create that for yourself in the immediate future? And then from there, grow your vision. Grow your idea of what is possible for you. Now, to take a step back, this all does require that we do our shadow work. So how do we do our shadow work? Because if we don't face those shadows, those limiting beliefs that are keeping us stuck in the first place, we're going to keep falling back into the same pattern. So we really do have to, the shadow work is basically facing our demons, the repressed emotions, the traumas from our past that are keeping us stuck in these patterns. Literally, trauma can keep our nervous system stuck in patterns of response and reaction. So we kind of have to bring awareness to this, to our triggers and to our thought patterns, and to see, okay, where am I keeping myself stuck in a rut? And most of us are not aware of this, so there's zero blame, there's zero judgment. So let's go into this just like with a clear slate. Number one, this isn't easy. So have so much compassion for yourself that you're overflowing with self-love and self-care and compassion as you go through this process. Please leave judgment at the door when you sit down to do this work, and also find support as you need it. Stuff will come up, and it may be too much for you to handle on your own. So have a support system in place, whether that's in the form of a therapist. I do highly encourage having a professional to support you through this process. Whether it's having a support group of friends, whether it's just a community, whether it's one close friend that can listen with compassion and really just hold the space. It's somebody who can hold the space for you without judgment. So have that container in place, have that support system in place. And it may grow. You may figure it out as you go along. What does that support look like for you? And this is a process. It's not a 1 week, 1 month, overnight thing, anything like that. So you will evolve. You will transform as you do this work, as you shed the layers. So you will grow and you will have to shed again. You will grow more and you will have to shed again. So understand that, have compassion for where you are now, have compassion for yourself throughout this process, and get that support system in place, and also be patient. Have so much patience for yourself. And the thing about patience is it's very powerful, because patience is basically telling yourself and the universe that you trust. So this is actually really, really powerful, this sense of trust that it will come when it's right. You release the sense of forcing, the sense of grasping, and you trust that when the time is right, what you want will happen, what you want will come to you. So this trust piece is really key, and patience is a sign of trust. So have patience for yourself, have patience with the process. Okay, so getting into the shadow work. How do we do that? What does that even look like? So one way to do it is to journal. To begin the process, at least, is to journal. And that might sound really simple and basic. It is, and it isn't. So journaling is a really, really powerful process. Journaling allows us to take what's intangible, what's floating around, maybe even going crazy up there, and to bring it into the physical reality. So just like journaling, I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, but journaling affirmations and journaling what you want into reality, that is powerful, because it's taking our vision and bringing it into the tangible. So it's not the same exact thing, but journaling allows us to organize our thoughts, to get clear on what they actually are, and to bring awareness to them. Because without bringing them out into the tangible reality, we're not so aware of the things that are just rushing through our minds day in, day out. We have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of thoughts every single day. So we really do have to bring awareness to where are our thoughts and where are our minds going day in, day out. So that would be step one of doing this deeper healing, doing this shadow work, is getting really clear on what are your stories, what are your thought patterns, and bringing that into the tangible so that you can create something new for yourself. So record your thoughts, record your feelings, record your emotions. And it's basically like if you were doing a food journal, it's like having a thought journal, having a feeling journal. And this may sound a little like woo-woo or whatever, but really like it does work. It is powerful stuff, because if we don't have awareness of where our thoughts, emotions, and feelings are, we're never going to be able to shift those patterns and to shift our habitual, the way we show up day in, day out. So bring awareness to where your thoughts are. If you're mostly optimistic or pessimistic, positive or negative, helpful, unhelpful thoughts, beyond positive and negative, are they helpful for you or are they unhelpful? Are they critical or are they supportive? is another way of looking at it. Are they growth oriented, or are they fixed in this sense of this is all there is? Like, I give up. I'm never going to get better. I'm a failure. Is it more of that, or, okay, how can I improve on this? That's a growth mindset. Do you have a sense of autonomy, or do you tend to have more of this victim outlook, which is very normal? So again, please leave judgment at the door. This is a time to get curious with where you are now so that you can shift. And the victim idea is more this sense of you don't have control over your reality, and that things are happening to you. So it's a very disempowering position. Do you feel empowered by your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, or do you feel disempowered by your thoughts, feelings, and emotions? So get really clear with yourself on these ideas. And let go of judgment, release expectations for yourself through this process. Just simply bring awareness to it right now, get curious, and then over time you will start to see these recurrent patterns of, okay, I'm thinking like this a lot. And then once you have that awareness, you can begin to shift your internal dialogue. You can begin to rewire your brain, and you can literally start to shift the conversation you're having with yourself in your mind. Literally talk to yourself in a different way. Like, what are the conversations you're having? Are they helpful? Are they not helpful? Shift them into more helpful, supportive, like, be the best friend, not the critic, in your own head. Most of us are our worst inner critic. So that's something to get really clear on yourself with. It's fun, right? But then also begin to notice what triggers you day in, day out. If you are triggered, it might not happen every day, but when you do notice that you're triggered, it can be like a minor annoyance, but it can also be a massive outburst. What really triggered you? Was it really because the gardener was cutting the bushes too short, or because somebody asked you what brand your dress was, and, because somebody cut you off on the highway, or because the server was rude to you when they gave you your coffee? Was that really the reason you had a massive outburst? Probably not. There was probably something much deeper underlying that, this sense of disrespect, being disrespected, not being able to take up space, not being seen or heard, feeling unworthy, feeling undeserving. There's all sorts of layers that can go underneath. So I encourage you, when you do have these moments where you're triggered, what is it really that's bringing up for you? So it's not really the most fun process, but here's the thing. Once you start to pick these apart, you're bringing more and more awareness. You can catch yourself the next time you're ready to react to a situation. And, it's not like a one and done process. You're going to get triggered over and over, and different things are going to come up, but also the same thing will come up many times, multiple times. And that's okay. It's not that you're failing at the process, but bringing awareness to it more quickly, catching yourself in the reaction before you actually respond is the goal right now. It's not that you won't have a reaction. It's like, okay, take a step back before you respond. That's the goal. So rather than lashing out before you can think, pause, breathe, and say, okay, what is this really about? Have compassion for yourself. Have compassion for the other people in the situation, whatever that situation may be. So yeah, so with those triggers are actually leading us toward that pot of gold. So actually get excited. Once you start going through this process, you're going to become one of those weirdos maybe that gets excited when they get triggered. It's like, oh yay, this is another opportunity for me to figure out more about myself, for me to shed another layer, for me to release what this is underlying. So yeah, it's kind of a funny place that you may get to eventually, where you're like, yes, I just got triggered. Awesome. Opportunity for me to grow. Yay. So yeah, honestly, like a lot of us reach boiling points without really understanding why. So that's what this is about. That's what this process is about. So, when these things come up, it means that it's ready to be examined. We are in a place where we're ready to look at it finally, and we're ready to release it. So don't suppress it. Don't suppress it. Try to be aware of how you release it. Say, okay, I'm going to examine this later, but allow yourself to feel the emotion. I would encourage you to keep yourself in check rather than having an actual outburst, but allow yourself to feel emotions as they come up, to express yourself, and to really release it, because it's bubbling up for a reason. It needs to be released. If you suppress it again, it's just going to bubble up even more powerfully later, or it's going to get stuck deeper and deeper and manifest in disease. This happens with trauma. This, I think, my personal view on health and healing is that trauma is underlying the vast majority of chronic disease as well as cancer. So dealing with the traumas, dealing with the suppressed emotions isn't just so we can live this like high vibe, I'm in love with life kind of thing. It's actually like literally crucial to our physical and mental well-being in a very tangible way, in a very, grounded, we don't want to get depressed, we don't want to get cancer kind of way. So, and yeah, I had cancer, so I'm speaking from somebody who's gone down all the rabbit holes and put the pieces together for myself. And this is very much what I believe because of my personal experience, but also experiences of people that I've talked to as well, and other, research that I've read, so on and so forth. So this is important work. Not just for like woo-woo levels of living. It's important for actual health. So anger is one thing. What if we're in deep despair? It's really hard to get yourself out of a place of feeling so low, you feel like everything's hopeless, that you're completely helpless. And I have so much compassion for anybody in that situation right now. Again, please find the support that you need. And what we can do from there to empower ourselves to move forward with the support on hand is to ask ourselves, is it really true that things will never get better? Is it really true that that was the only job for you, or that really was the only perfect job for you, or that was the only person for you, or that was the perfect person for you? Is it really true that no one else is out there? Is it really true that there is no other opportunity out there for the rest of your life? Is it really true that that's all there was for you ever? Is it really true that nobody loves you and that you are completely alone? That's a hard one. These are hard ones. I told you this wasn't easy work. But if we can find just a shred of evidence to the contrary, then we can start to shift our perspective on our situation. And little by little, we can start to move forward. Little by little, we can start to shed these limiting beliefs. Little by little, we can start to see hope. We can start to see possibility. And we can begin to develop that deeper sense of faith, that deeper sense of, I can do this, that greater sense of possibility, that greater sense of, heck yes, I'm doing this. And nobody's gonna stop me. That is a powerful position to be in, to have that internal self-belief. It is hard getting there for most people, but it is absolutely doable for everyone. So all the love, all the support, all the encouragement right now. You got this. So this can be super challenging and uncomfortable to navigate, but if we come from a space of curiosity above all else, curiosity above judgment, curiosity above, oh, this sucks, oh, I don't want to do it. Curiosity, it's what will move us forward. Resist the inclination to dwell on the emotions as well. So the more we fester in anger and resentment, the more we dwell in the darkness of despair and depression, the harder it is to build that inertia, or to build the energy to shift. So, but remember, emotion is emotion, energy in motion. So if we're experiencing those particular energies, those emotions, then we do have the power to shift those experiences by generating a different emotional experience through motion. Like literally get up and move your body. Get up and dance. Get up and put your favorite upbeat, high vibe song on and dance, belt it out, shake your booty, shake it off literally. So there is a reason dance is healing. There is a reason animals in nature shake their bodies after trauma. They shake to release. So go feel super silly, shut yourself in your room by yourself if you need to, and just shake. Shake the emotion out. Yell, express it. The expression is really important. Not just journaling, but also speaking it out loud, because that's activating the throat chakra as well. So that's also very important. Even if you're just speaking it to a chair across the room, imagining the person that you're saying these things to, saying like, fuck you, I hate you, yada, yada, yada. Like scream it out. I guarantee you'll feel a lot better. And you may not feel the need to confront that person in person. You may have done the necessary healing work. And that's especially powerful when you do not have the ability to face that person. Like for whatever reason, you can't face that person, whether they've passed on or they're in a different state or you don't have their contact information or whatever. It's a powerful practice. So yell it out, have a conversation, cry, tell them how you made you feel, and explain why it was so hurtful. Get it out. and dance. Then raise your vibe back up by dancing. But dancing is actually super, super healing because it's moving our bodies in more fluid ways. It's moving with rhythm. And this is something really deep and innate. Like we could feel it in our cells. And trauma is buried down to the level of our cells. So it's really, 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 really powerful and important to like dance and move our bodies when we're going through this healing process. And adding in affirmations as we do this kind of stuff, like I am awesome, or I am beautiful, or I am loved, and things like that. You know, whatever it is that will help shift you into a space of, okay, this is good. Like, I feel better now. I feel like I released something. I feel more powerful. I feel like I can move forward. Just little by little, step by step, we keep moving forward. So as we do this work, eventually we will find that golden nugget. We will find that little nugget within, and then the beauty and the magic will just blossom and unfold for us. It's not easy. I have so much compassion for you right now. I've been there. I'm still there. It's an ongoing process, but the more you do it, the more you commit to it, the lighter and lighter you feel. So I promise it's worth it. You got this, guys. Keep going. Stay brave. Stay light. All right, guys. Onward and upward. I will see you tomorrow.